Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk a little bit about my relationships. It's been a journey, I'm telling you right now. Like I told you, I think it was in the first video, my red pill journey or red pill story. Um, I was, I didn't have a strong male figure in my life. My dad was just like I said, I mean, he was above a piece of furniture. I mean, he just kind of went to work, came home, was pissed off all the time, and didn't really have time or want to invest in me. You know what I mean? The time that it took to raise me, to some extent. My mom was the one who raised me. She put in the effort, she put in the time, but I never had that man piece. I was always missing that. And I was always, to some extent, I was always going through my life looking for it, right? So, I was a dude. I was brought up in the neighborhood with guys that were older than me, and they taught me how to be a guy, and when my dad was around his friends, he was a guy, he was a dude, he acted like a dude. And then when I was around other guys in my neighborhood, like, my friends' dads or people like that, older individuals, they were dudes. But the one thing was common between all of them, right? When they got around their wives, or around girlfriends, or anything like that, I mean, it was like kryptonite to Superman. So I never had a really good, strong male influence to teach me what it was like to be in a relationship. You know what I mean? So I saw how my dad was, and my dad was pretty just kind of sailing through life. I mean, he was just there. My mom would run the show pretty much in every respect. The only time my dad would interact with me is, when we were playing sports, or, when he needed me to help him around the house and stuff like that. So, I'm sure, a lot of us have that same type of situation going on. A lot of us went through that, or you may be going through it, or whatever the case may be. And if you're going through it, I'm sorry. I think, I think that's part of the reason why I was never a dad, right? I never had any kids or anything like that, because it's not really that I was afraid that I was going to be that type of dad, because I knew I wouldn't be. But I wanted to make sure that my life was at a point where I could really put in the effort, and really spend the time with my kids to give them that perspective, right? The man perspective. And, you know, honestly, if I had had my kids earlier than, I would say, me finding the red pill, I would have told them exactly what my mom told me, right? I would say, follow your intuition, make sure you pay attention to it. But I would have told them that reluctantly, because I always doubted, right? I mean, I was always doing my thing, but I kind of always doubted what I was doing. Like I said in the first video, I wanted to go the red pill route. That's where my intuition and my inner voice was always telling me to go. But then I was being pulled over here by blue pilled individuals, which I was surrounded by. And if you watch TV and that sort of thing, I mean, when I was young, they had a lot of men, like Archie Bunker and, God, I can't even think about some of the other, moving on up. Oh, damn, man. Moving on up. He was pretty alpha. I mean, he ran the show. Archie Bunker ran the show. Those old school shows, they had male figures that they were kind of abrasive to their wives and shit like that. I didn't really agree with that, but they were pretty alpha in nature. You know what I mean? They ran the household. And that's what being alpha is about, right? It's about holding your frame. It's about being a man and holding your decisions. Sticking to your decisions, sticking to your mindset. And not giving in to just anybody. You got to own who you are. If you own who you are, people are just going to respect you. That's just a fact. And whether it be other people around you, friends or work colleagues or whatever the case may be, to your wife, to even your kids, even your dog, man. You know what I mean? Like if you own your dog, your dog's going to do what you say to do, I mean, that goes in everything in your life. You got to be firm in your convictions and be the person that you want to be, own it. I watched a movie last night because, I kept hearing it from the Red Pill community, American Beauty. I had seen that movie a long time ago, but, I wanted to see it again from, at an older age to get a different perspective, because I think it was like I think it came out like 22, 23 years ago. And I wanted to look at it from Red Pill lens, right? And, honestly, right in that movie, I mean, he was pretty blue pilled. I mean, he was basically sleepwalking through life. I mean, his wife was driving him to work. I mean, it was pathetic, man. But then one day he just woke up and he just started doing his thing. He started working out. He didn't care what his wife did. Nothing, and I'm not telling you to do that by any means, right? But I'm telling you to wake up, that you got to be real about and understand yourself and understand where you're going. If you feel like you're in a relationship and you're following this woman or being, attention seeking or being a simp, right? A simp is somebody who just kind of bows to their women and lets them do I'll give you an example, shit tests, right? I mean, women are always going to give you shit tests. And, like one time I was taking this woman out, right? And I was driving her to our destination on a date. I didn't tell her where we were going, but, she kept bugging me. She kept nagging me and saying, well, why don't you tell me where we're going? Why don't you let me know? I want to know where we're going. I said, look, just sit there, enjoy the ride, enjoy the music, enjoy our conversation, or I can turn this car around and I can take you home. Those are the two options. And right after that, she said, you know what? I always have a good time with you. You just do what you do, And that's the thing, the point of that is that you got to own who you are, you got to come up with a plan. If you're a man, right, going on a date, you got to come up with a plan and you got to follow through with that plan, You don't have to tell her, if she comes to you and gives you a shit test and says, well, I don't want to go there. I want to go here. Say, okay, well, we can go where I want to go, where I'm taking you out on this date, or I can take you home. Those are your two options, And then if she chooses to go home, give her a soft next, which a soft next is don't talk to her for a couple days or whatever. I've done that a lot of times, right? But going back to my dating story, I wasn't good at that at a young age. I didn't have a good, strong male figure, so they didn't teach me all that stuff. So I would say, okay, we'll go where you want to go, or I'd ask them, where do you want to go? I'd pick them up out on a date and I wouldn't have a plan. I'd just say, where do you want to go? And you can't do that. You really can't do that. So as a youngster, right, in my high school days, I was that kind of guy. I wasn't a simp, but I'd let the woman kind of run the show. And that was I didn't like the way that felt, number one, right? I just it didn't seem right. I saw my dad do it. I saw the men around me do it for years. And I was just like, well, okay, maybe that's the way you got to be. I mean, maybe that's just the way it is, right? And then I got it. I started dating, and I felt myself going that direction. I'm just like, God, this doesn't feel good. This feels like shit. And then when I got into my 20s, I started dating. I almost got married when I was 21, right? Which was stupid. But I mean, man, I was just letting her run the show too. I mean, I just kind of went along with everything. And, I started my journey of sleepwalking through life, man. It was horrible, horrible. Then I did it again at 24, between 24 and 28. And, in every instance, okay, so like when I was in high school, I used to do that. Almost every girl cheated on me. It is what it is, right? But I was doing my thing too, so whatever, I wasn't happy with them, but I was still doing my thing. I still had my shit on the side. And then when I was 20, that's when I started really kind of locking myself down to throwing all my eggs in one basket, and I was just like, man, I don't like the way this feels. This sucks, man. And so I ended up getting out of those relationships. Well, the one at 21 cheated on me. She cheated on me with the guy that I used to play softball with, which was fucked up, man. And when I confronted the guy, the guy was such a wuss, man. It was terrible, dude. Like, he just walked away, man. And back in those days, man, we were throwing hands. There was gang violence. You know what I mean? I grew up with the Bloods and the Crips and all that kind of shit. So, and I grew up in Vadios. I mean, I hung out in my Vadio, which was Hollywood, and there's a lot of other guys around, but you had to stick up for yourself. But little did I know, and now what I know now, right? I mean, I was just being a wuss. I mean, and she was looking, it was hypergamy, right? I mean, she was looking for the next best thing, because I didn't have shit back then. I didn't have anything. So I was working my way through school. I was trying to do my thing. I was struggling, you know what I mean? And I had menial jobs. I was just kind of getting by, just like a single guy, I mean, no big deal. But I was going to school and I was trying to get my education. And then when I was 24 is when, I had already graduated from college. I had my shit together. I had gotten a job, pretty decent job. It was all right. And then I met somebody else, somebody that I knew from my past that I went to college with. And we hooked up and, I went blue pill again, man. I mean, again. And she ended up, at the very end of that relationship, she said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I was just like, well, what am I doing? So we stayed together for, I don't know, maybe 6 months after that. And then I just said, I just got out of it. And, so got a friend out of it, but I'll talk about him later because he was a friend. He's not really a friend anymore. But, so that's kind of what happened, I mean. And then when I got to be about 35, I was still a little blue pilled. I hadn't really realized, but the commonality between all of these, right, was that my intuition told me that it wasn't the right situation for me. Ultimately, my intuition led me in the red pill direction, and my alpha came out and I said, you know what? No, I don't like this situation. I like the way I feel, so I'm out of here, And then when I was about 35 years old, I dated somebody that came from my past again. We grew up together. We dated when we were like 19, and it was utterly forgettable because I was blue pilled, right? I didn't make my move. I didn't do any of that shit. And, I was trying to be respectful because my dad and her dad went to high school together, and I was just trying to be the good guy, right? And and she told me, when we dated that I should have made a move, because then she would have known, and she probably would have picked me over the other guy that she picked. But anyway, it is what it is. But I was still a little blue pilled, but I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, right? I started seeing, well, I started holding myself accountable, like I talked in my last video, right? And I started looking at myself in the mirror and saying, wait a minute, I got to do something different here, right? So I followed my alpha path, and my instinct, and I was a little bit with my feet in the ground and a little more centered in that relationship. I didn't feel like I was giving up myself to become something that she wanted me to become, right? Every other relationship, I always felt like I was losing a piece of myself and going and being with someone else, being somebody else, being a blue-pilled guy that I hate that guy. I can't stand that guy. I swear. And I could never put my finger on it, but now that I found the red pill, it makes total sense, Well, I ended up breaking up with her at the age of 40. And we went our separate ways because it was just really bad timing. I mean, she's a wonderful person. She's really great. She had 2 boys, and you know what? The really, I always try to look at the glass half full, right? So I look at every relationship as something, it's a blessing, right? Again, that goes back to my upbringing, my Catholic faith, that sort of thing, because everything is a blessing, right? And you have to look at life that way. Otherwise, it's going to kill you. You know what I mean? You gotta be realistic with yourself and say, you know what? All these things have happened to me for a reason. Again, too, with friendships, when I talk about friendships, you guys will understand that too, because I've gone through a lot of friends for many different reasons, But when I broke up with her, it was tough because I was not just breaking up with her. I broke up with the kids. And, the beauty of that relationship was that I got to be a dad figure to her boys. I was very influential in their life. I got to kind of help them grow up and teach them. And then I even taught her some things, you know what I mean? So I was a lot more alpha then. So my alpha came out, and it really attracted her because she likes that. I mean, she likes that kind of person. And then her boys, it really attracted her boys, and her boys took on their own personality, but it was because of me. And I didn't realize that. She actually told me that, I didn't see it. I mean, I saw little things with their oldest boy, but for the most part, she told me that, I was a huge influence on their life, which is a really big blessing, because I'm probably never going to have kids. I made a decision to go ahead and have a vasectomy at my age. It doesn't really make sense, because when they graduate from high school, I'm going to be in my 70s. No way, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's terrible. I just can't do that. So, I was blessed to be part of their life, and it takes a village to raise a child, and I was part of that village, and I'm blessed to be in that situation. So, it was a great learning experience. But right after that breakup, man, is when I really found Corey Wayne's work, and I got introduced to the red pill, and I got super centered at that point. I mean, I felt better than I've ever felt in my life, because what Corey Wayne did for me, he started me into the direction that I really wanted to go. That red pill path and that alpha path that I was always kind of inching towards. it just gave me confidence to go that direction, that was really the direction that I really wanted to go. And ever since I've gone that direction, man, I've suffered from anxiety the majority of my life, and the anxiety just, it was gone. It just, I felt so good. I felt so good being me. And, I haven't looked back since. I got a little derailed when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. But, for the most part, man, I've just been super centered and just, this is my world. I'm the CEO of my world and nobody's going to change that, kind of thing, right? So after that, after I started really diving into Corey Wayne stuff, I met my ex-fiance and, I was super centered there, man. She followed my lead. And I'm telling you, I am 100% proof that this shit works, guys. I was always, I consider myself a natural alpha, natural red pill guy, right? To some extent, because I was always going in that direction. I just didn't know if that was the right direction because I never had that strong male influence, right? Well, finding that red pill and seeing what it does to women, it's hypnotic to women, really, because during that time, between the time I was 40 and 42, when I found Corey Wayne's work, man, I was dating. I was spinning plates, man. I had 5 different girlfriends, man. It was like a revolving door going in and out of my house, man. My neighbor used to give me shit all the time. He was an ex-fireman. And he'd just be like, dude, what is going on over there, man? And it was easy, man. It was easy picking up women, It was like shooting fish in a barrel, man. There was no contest, right? And the thing is that, I met somebody and, the cream rise to the top. And I was getting a lot of pressure at that time. I remember from a lot of my friends saying, why don't you settle down? I've been getting this pressure since I was 30. But, for a long time, I was like, well, it is what it is. It pissed me off a couple times when I was, in my 30s. I'm just like, quit asking me that shit, But they would always ask me, okay, Rich, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to grow up? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? Well, I started dating another woman, and she was the cream that rises to the top, right? And because of all that influence and because of all those blue-pilled individuals, I started really listening. Even people that I worked with at work, they were telling me, they were like, Rich, you got to settle down with this woman, because I was just doing my thing. I had a lot of girlfriends. It was I was just having fun, but it's funny how these blue-pilled motherfuckers want to mess up your fun. You're over there smiling and having a good time, and they're just like, nah, I want to put a damper on your fun. It's like being married. And I'm just like, nah, man, but so anyway, to make a long story short, we went pretty quick, right? I asked her to move in 8 months, asked her to marry me at 14 months. And at that point, I sold my house. She talked me into buying a house together, and I sold my house. And then that's when I started seeing what was going on, right? Well, it turned out she was an alcoholic. She didn't want to work on it. And, I had to take off, man. That was it, and we ended up breaking up. I told you guys a little bit, some excerpts about how that ended. You know what I mean? She hit me and I had to have the police escort me out. I went to live with my mom, and that was the first time I had ever contemplated suicide, man. It was horrible because it was right before Christmas, 2017. It was awful, man. Awful. Well, anyway, right after that, I jumped back on the horse, man, the proverbial horse, right? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to let this shit get me down, man. I'm one of those guys who'd get hit and hit and hit, and I get back up, So I met this woman at work. Oh, my God. I had to, though, man. She's a dime, man. dime. She's still a dime. And I had to date her, man. I had to go see what was up with that, right? But right away, man, following Corey Wayne shit, you're good. I gotta say, you're good. And six weeks, I think it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks, man, she wanted to be monogamous. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, why fuck up a good thing? You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is good. Why are you gonna mess it up? You know? But because of the blue pill conditioning, I was still listening to that shit, you know? And I was like, you know, she's 32, here I am 45. This is probably my last chance to meet somebody and settle down, you know? So I was like, and she had 2 boys, right? My ex fiance had 2 boys. I had a girl, a girl. And then this one had 2 boys, you know? And I'll talk about single moms maybe in another video and you know, the risks of dating a single mom and that sort of thing. But, you know, so I kind of dove right into it, right? So we became monogamous and shit. And I started noticing things about her, though, man. I mean, she was posting shit on Instagram and, you know, doing all that, you know, social media type shit, looking for attention. You know, I mean, she was... And what I found out about her is that, you know, she was overweight for a long time and she lost all kinds of weight and then she looked good, right? And, you know, and I told her, I said, look, you're young, man, go out and sow your wild oats, so to speak, right? You've been married since you were 21. Just go out and have a good time. She goes, no, I want you. I said, well, okay, whatever. All right. You know, and, I mean, I bought into it, man. I mean, you know, I went even as far, and I'll admit that. You guys can punch me in the face if you ever see me, but, you know, just know I hit back. But I was even talking about buying a house with her. I mean, just stupid. Now that I think about it, it's just dumb, right? But then, you know, 6 months later, fast forward 6 months later, we ended up breaking up. And, you know, there was issues with that situation, right? Because you got to think about, and I'll talk about this with the single mom thing, right? There was an ex involved, right? And every single ex has always blamed me for their fuck ups. You know what I mean? Like, again, back to my accountability speech, right? These guys mess up with their women, right? And that's what happened with her ex-husband. He messed up. He had no drive or no ambition. So she said, you know what? I'm on to the next thing. Got a divorce, you know? I'm the best thing, but he blamed me for what he didn't do. You know, he blamed me saying that I took her away from. No. Truth is, she was dating somebody before me. You know, when they were still married. Shit, man. Nah, dude. I don't do that. Number one, there's too many women in the world for me to be dealing with that type of situation. You know, I don't do drama. So, you know, but anyway, to make a long story short, he ended up chasing me. He knew what I drove. And he ended up chasing me, you know what I mean? But I pulled over, but he wouldn't pull over, you know? So it was one of those situations. I told her, I said, look, you know, you got to deal with that. You got to deal with that. If things change, come back and see me and, you know, whatever. Well, they ended up getting back married and shit. I don't know what happened, but I found out that they got married, remarried, and, you know, they're back in the same situation. I don't know. I mean, I don't wish them bad by any means. I'm glad they found each other again. Hey, man, I wish everybody happiness. So, you know, it is what it is. But after that, man, I was just like, dude, I got to do something different, man. I'm banging my head against the wall, wondering why it hurts. This is horrible, right? So I started looking in the mirror and I'm just like, dude, you got to do something different. So that's when I really started diving into the red pill, because I started, you know, like searching, you know, should I date single moms and this and that? And that's when all this red pill stuff started coming up. And then it started filtering through my entire life. So the last 3 years, it started in relationships and then filtered through the rest of my life. And that's pretty much what I'll talk about on this channel, you know. But the takeaway, you know, from this particular video is, you know, you got to trust in yourself, right? Trust that inner voice, trust that feeling, because that feeling, whether you think, you know, my mom told me it was the Holy Spirit, it was God talking to me, telling me the direction that I need to go in. You know, you guys, you know, that's your voice. That's your inner voice telling you what to do, what you should be doing, you know? Don't listen to anybody else. Don't pay attention to anybody else, because I guarantee you, and I'll talk about this in the friendship thing, right? When I did a deep dive on what the people who were talking shit and telling me this thing, all the blue pill individuals chirping in my ear, when I really did a deep dive in their life and what they were telling me, I was just like, dude, they're not happy, man. And misery loves company. So, you know, you really have to take a look at that. You have to be aware of who is telling you, you know, and, you know, if it's coming from you, your inner voice, that's the right thing. Don't listen to all these assholes out here, man. I'm telling you, because they don't know shit. They don't know more than you. They don't know more than your inner voice. And that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. My inner voice was always right. And I've always listened to it. Ultimately, I mean, it took me a little while. It took me a little while to figure it out. It took me some iterations to figure it out. But once I figured it out, man, you know, if I get into a situation now where it doesn't feel right, like the other day, I stopped at a Circle K and my intuition was telling me, nah, don't do this, you know? So I took off. I went to another Circle K, you know what I mean? So, I mean, things like that, you know, it's always kept me out of trouble. It really has. It's always kept me out of harm's way. It's always given me the right direction. And it's led me to where I am here now. So it's never wrong. So trust in it, believe in it, you know, listen to guys like me. You know, I just want to be a supplement to a lot of these red pill guys. I'm not trying to overtake them. I'm just another satisfied customer, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just here to tell you that this shit works. Listen to them. Listen to everybody. Listen to me. Listen to, you know, guys like Rich Cooper, Rollo Tomasi. Listen to all those guys, you know, and Aaron Clary, you know, all those guys, you know, I listen to them, man. Coach Corey Wayne, man, definitely listen to him. His shit, dude's a genius. I mean, Corey Wayne, man, you're the man. I'll give you that. So, you know, guys, I mean, just pay attention. Pay attention to what's around you. Pay attention to the way you feel, and go with your feel. Go with your feel. You gotta really analyze life, man. And you know, like I said in my past videos, I said you really have to know what kind of person you are, what kind of person you want to be, and own that shit, right? You know, I mean, max out in every part of your life that you can. Become better every single day. You know, if you have to watch a YouTube video, you know, once a day for the rest of your life to get better, then do it. You know, whoever floats your boat, whoever influences you, you know, hopefully it's me, but, you know, I'm just giving you the real. I'm just giving you the real deal, and just telling you that, you know, my intuition led me in the right direction. It actually led me to the red pill. And now I am free, man. I am free. I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life. I have little anxiety. A little bit of it is residual because I grew up with it all my life. But, you know, and I've been going to counselors and therapists and shit like that. I don't need that shit anymore. I don't, man, because the red pill freed me. So really buy into it, guys. You know, and again, too, if you need one-on-one coaching, reach out to me at theclarity.fm/Rich Flores, or just send me an email, man. Or, send me a request to do a video request, and I'll be more than happy to do it, man. I just want to help you guys. I don't want you guys to fall in the same shit I did, and have to struggle your way through it, because I struggled my way through it. And now with the red pill, man, I don't have to struggle. I just am who I am, I own who I am now. And there's absolutely no doubt about it. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. But really enjoyed this. Just had to get this shit out again. And you guys stay up. All right? We'll talk later. Peace.